Hey everyone, in today's iPhone video, I want to show you a few things that you could try right now to improve the life of your iPhone. And some of these will help you long term just to keep your iPhone battery healthy. And some of them will just help you short term day by day just to get a longer life out of your phone in any given day. And with my job, I actually have to deal with lithium ion batteries even longer than the iPhone has been around. So I've had a lot of experience just making sure my lithium ion batteries stay healthy, which is the type of battery your iPhone has. Just to give you an example, here is one of my chargers, and these batteries, they cost $400 or $500, and these are lithium ion batteries too. But your iPhone has obviously a much smaller version. But when I spend this much on a battery, I want to make sure I do everything to make sure it's running right. So some of those things I'm going to share with you, especially the things that are related to charging, or based on my experience dealing with these type of batteries. And I have a whole bunch of lithium ion batteries, so for different cameras and drones, but this video is going to be related to increasing the battery life on your iPhone. So let's jump into our phone here and let's go to the settings app of the phone, because I want to show you one thing here. If you scroll down right in the middle, you should see battery. Click on battery here, and we want to check our battery health. So click on this. And the maximum capacity, this 100%, over time, this number will reduce. So on my older iPhones, it's closer to 90%, because your phone's battery life will just decrease over time no matter what you do. But this, we want to make sure stays at 100 or over 95% as long as possible, doing some of the things I'm going to show you. Then you want to also make sure on this page, optimize battery charging is turned on. Now this is by default turned on, but just keep it on if yours is turned off for some reason. And if you want to learn what's using most of your battery, typically the apps that play videos like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube tend to be on top of the page. So if you're limited on your battery, if you're sitting at 5%, you really want to close these apps and try not to use them if you're using your phone for emergencies at the moment, if you're about to lose power. So these type of apps typically use up a lot of battery power. Now this next tip is related to just keeping your phone's battery healthy long term. And again, this is my experience of just charging lithium ion batteries for the last 15 years. But let me show you this. So this is typically what I use, but what I wanted to mention is I typically charge everything overnight. Now I do the same thing with all my lithium ion batteries. I charge them all the time overnight. Now they don't charge all the time to 100%. They get to 100% and then it trickle charges and keeps them at 100%. I just like this device here because it's so convenient and I don't have to have multiple power sources. Now I know a lot of people say as soon as it hits 100% take it off, but again, keeping lithium ion batteries healthy, this is what I've done with all of them over 15 years. So keeping things on charge overnight is what I recommend. I know other people recommend different things, but that's just my personal experience of what's kept my lithium ion batteries healthy and my iPhone and iPad batteries healthy too. And the next tip related to charging is also that don't let your phone or really any lithium ion batteries get to 0% before you charge it. As much as you can, charge it. And I typically don't let my battery power get to under 50%. I try to charge it as much as I can. So I don't wait till nighttime to put it on this charger. I just charge it throughout the day whenever I can with just a regular Apple charger. And before we get to software, last hardware issue is just how you take care of your phone. And that is don't keep it in direct sun and direct heat. That is horrible for lithium ion batteries. Some of my bigger batteries that have died is because in some of the conditions I was working that were too hot, over 100 degrees of direct sun over a long period of time really does hurt your battery. So try to avoid that as much as you can. Put something on top of your phone to make sure it doesn't really heat up with direct sun in the summertime. And let's get into some software settings here. So one of the software settings I wanted to show you is turning off Siri suggestions. So let me show you where to turn that on. Let's jump into the phone here. So launch the settings app of your phone. And on this page, we want to go down and look for Siri and search. Click here. And with this settings, let me show you a couple of different things that I turn off. Right over here, you'll see Siri suggestions. I turn all these off right here because I tend to never use them and Siri does take up some battery power in order to work. So if you turn these off, that should help. So Siri suggestions, turn off all these 4 if you don't use them. Obviously, if you do use them, leave them on and we'll work on saving batteries in different ways here. Next thing is only related to iOS 14 and later, but if you have these widgets right here, you see this widget is working all the time. This one tracks my time of what I'm working on. So I've been working on this video, for example, and it's keeping the track of time. I have a date. So if I just slide over here, you could see I could have all kinds of stock widgets and weather widgets and news widgets, and those will drain your battery. So if you don't need widgets, I suggest just holding down on them and removing the stack of widgets here. So if you have any widgets you don't 100% need, go ahead and remove them, especially the ones that pull information like timers and news related things and map related things. Remove those widgets from your home screen. Now back to the settings app. Let's go back here to our settings app here. And let me go back to the previous page. This one is related to background app refresh. So if you go to general here, right here, there's an option called background app refresh. Click on this, and by default on top, let me go here, it's on Wi-Fi and cell. But sometimes I change this to Wi-Fi if I'm losing a lot of battery power or if I'm short on battery power. I just leave this on Wi-Fi because I don't want the apps to refresh using my cell data, which takes up more battery. But let me go back. Another option you could do just permanently is you could just turn off a bunch of these that don't need to be refreshed all the time. Like this app, I don't use that often. This app, I don't use that often. This app, I don't use. They don't need to be kind of updated all the time. So I would suggest turning off as many as you can. And I have a ton of apps on this phone. Turning off as many as you can here that don't need to be refreshed all the time. So I leave things like my map maybe, and maybe things related to social media that I use all the time. But other than that, a lot of these could be turned off. Now let's go back to settings here. And this one is using precise locations. And this was introduced back with iOS 14. So let's go down over here to privacy, the privacy option down here, and location services right on top. Go ahead and click that. And this is really related to different apps. So let me go to an app just to show you. There's an option in every app, in most apps actually, called precise location. Turn this off as much as you can. Now I use it for my map and a couple other things, maybe some Apple Watch things. But for the most part, if you turn this off here, it does save on battery life. So I tend to turn this off as much as I can. And I go through all those apps there on location services here and turn all those off. You don't want to turn location services off altogether because a lot of apps like maps and things that require your location need to have this turned on. So you can't really turn this off. It's going to really limit your phone usage, but I do turn them off whenever I can here. And back to settings, there's another option over here that I like to turn off, and it's related to notifications. So if you slide up a little bit, you'll see notifications on here. And with notification, the same thing. You could jump into any app. Okay, so for example, if I jump into this app, I could just turn off notifications to this app. So let me just look up a social media app that sends quite a bit of notifications here. So I've turned off the notifications on this phone, right? Now this is the phone that I use to record video, so I don't want notifications. But typically, even if you do have notifications turned on, you don't need all of these to be on, right? So you could turn some of these off here and just get notifications on a banner, for example. But I typically like to, as much as I can, turn off notifications on any app that don't need to immediately notify me and I could check on it later, or limit the type of notifications here just to one of these here. And finally, as much as you can, use Wi-Fi over your cell data. That does always help with battery life. And there's this app called Usage. Let me show you this. It's called Usage here. Go ahead and open this app or download the app if you don't have it. And with Usage, it basically tells you how much of your memory is being used. And I like to, from time to time, clear my memory here. And I have a different video about how to do that. So watch that next if you want to clear your memory on your phone. This does also help because you're using less memory and less power typically if you clear your RAM or your memory on your iPhone. I hope you found this useful. I have everything listed in the description if you want to kind of work your way through the list and not rewatch everything on this video. Thanks again for all your time. Please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and I'll see you next time.